I'm glad that we're actually taking this story on Tea or Coffee Trending Stories. I think it's very important, that people are aware and are prepared and ready, for the worst.
Another thing that excites me is the high-risk areas are the areas that NIMET would be really focusing on to ensure that they curb the possibility of flooding in those areas, which is great for people living in those areas. Now, I just really hope that Nigerians would listen.
Yeah.
Because we do need to listen. It's one thing if the government is sounding these warnings.
Yeah, and then another thing if, yeah.
Hello and welcome to Trending Stories. I am Ibukun Bankole, and I have with me
Ade Oyeyipo.
Following flooding incidents that rocked parts of the nation last year, 2022, the federal government has taken proactive measures to curb it in 2023. The Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Mr. Mustafa Ahmed, says Nigeria will be witnessing severe flooding this year, as indicated by predictions from relevant agencies. He made the disclosure at a two-day experts technical meeting. And according to Ahmed, there had been seasonal climate predictions and annual flood outlooks by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency and the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency. What are your thoughts along this line? Because I would rather listen to you before I say mine.
All right. So in one of our trending stories, one of the episodes of Trending Stories on Tea or Coffee, we actually, analyzed the floodings that happened last year, 2022, that rocked parts of the south and was beginning to seep into parts of the west. Lives and properties were destroyed last year, 2022, as a result of heavy flooding. It was very tragic, very sad incident. Now, now, very interesting to that story last year, warnings were actually given beforehand. Actually, so the agencies actually, warned about the floodings and they predicted, some of this. I'm guessing that we didn't really know how heavy the flood it was going to be, and maybe that's why, a lot of people did not take evacuation prompts as serious as they should have, or as serious as they could have, right? Now that we've seen that happen last year, and now these warnings are coming again in 2023, I think that I'm glad that we're actually taking this story on Tea or Coffee Trending Stories. I think it's very important, that people are aware and are prepared and ready, for the worst. I just think people need to be ready for the worst, considering what has happened last year.
It's very interesting, and what I love is the fact that the government is proactive this year and sounding early warnings. So the fact that they're sounding early warnings means that Nigerians too should also prepare early. But what's shocking me is, why would you get a house in a place that is prone to flooding? But that's if you even researched to know that that area is prone to flooding. And that's why people say get your houses, rent houses during the rainy season.
So you actually know
if there are issues. And another thing that excites me is the high-risk areas are the areas that NIMET would be really focusing on to ensure that they curb the possibility of flooding in those areas, which is great for people living in those areas. Now, I just really hope that Nigerians would listen. Because we do need to listen. It's one thing if the government is sounding these warnings.
Yeah, and then another thing if, another aspect of this conversation is, the dimension of climate change. A lot of Africans, a lot of Nigerians do not believe that climate change affects us in Nigeria. They think that it's a Western thing. Climate change is only affecting them there. It's a climate change. It's a global phenomenon. It's something that affects us globally. We're seeing the United Kingdom, how it's affecting the United Kingdom. Even here in Nigeria, experiencing Harmattan, in February. That is a result. Exactly. That is a consequence of climate change, and floodings as well is a consequence of climate change. So as much as we are sounding, this information and these warnings about the flooding warnings in Nigeria, I think that Nigerians, as you're watching this video, research climate change, understand what is going on globally concerning climate change.
Yes, definitely. So please, as you are understanding what's going on about climate change, make sure you're find out if your area is prone to flooding so that you can know the measures to take to at least evacuate your family members from such areas. And even if it's not you and you have family members in such areas, please be quick to warn them so they don't lose their lives nor their property. And that's all we can take on Trending Stories. Remember to follow us on Instagram at Watch Tea or Coffee and subscribe to our YouTube channel at High Impact TV. Join us again for another interesting edition. Bye-bye.